All right, so welcome to Operation Research. So this course is to help you uh, utilize scarce or limited resources in the optimal or effective way. And this started with Second World War. That was around 1949. That way. Some of us were not born. All right. So the beginning of operations research is attributed to military services in World War II. There was the need to allocate scarce resources to the various military operations and activities within each operation in an effective manner. The British and American military management called in a group of scientists to research into military operations. All right, so as it goes, this operation research was developed by American and British military management when World War II arose and around 1949. They needed to allocate scarcity resources like bombs and ammunitions and guns and other stuffs to various military bases to stop this war. So war was found useful during that was around 1949, 1951. All right, let's move on. So OR, that's operation research, is broadly classified into two main branches. We have the mathematical programming models and we also have the probabilistic models. All right, so the mathematical programming model is made up of linear programming, PETs or CPM network flow, dynamic programming, game theory, integer programming, non-linear programming. And the probabilistic approach, that's when we want to determine the chances of an event occurring. We have the Markov chains and Markovian decision process, that's the MDP. We have the queue theory and applications, inventory theory, forecasting reliability, forecasting. So this one is mostly used by the weather forecast, those who tell us the weather. We have the reliability, decision analysis, and simulation. What then is a model? When you say a model, model is more or less a representation of an abstract raw world object into a simpler unit or model in order to experiment, that's perform an experimental analysis on it. So for instance, you want to develop an aircraft and I design a small aircraft which can sit on my laps and I start finding the stresses, the strains, start finding some experiment, doing some performing some experiments on it. Then we call that small minute object or item a model. All right, so we have three types of models. We have the verbal, physical, and the mathematical. And in the scope of this course, we will be dealing with this mathematical model. This mathematical model. Yes, that's what we'll be dealing with. All right, so that's by the way. All right, so we have linear programming, which is one of the important tools that we use in operation research. So linear programming is known to be the best and one of the most widely used techniques of work or management science. So people call it management science work. So it's a mathematical method of allocating scarce resources to competing activities in the best. I will use optimal in case of the best. And I will show you why I don't like the best. Optimal or what? Effective way. All right, so we have some importance or uses of linear programming in the mining. It can be in the industry, it's the mining industry, it can be in the military, as we saw in 1951. It can also be in the government. There are some government sectors which use this linear programming. You have the health sector, go to the various hospitals, they use linear programming to know the amount of equipment, that is tools to be used on patients if you fall sick. code transport. So all these ones are in place. Then we have, so this is typically for mining. We have product blending, facilities location, investment analysis, transportation of materials from one site to another, assignment of operators or drivers to machines, and allocation of resources, and production planning, scheduling, and optimum production processes. All these ones are important for linear programming. All right. So linear programming, before you apply linear programming, there are some model formulations you need to do. You need to formulate the real world abstract problem into a understandable, well structured problem so that we can use linear programming to solve it. That's what we call the model what? Model formulation. Model formulation. And there are three steps in doing that. So you will use this first example here. This is the first example to illustrate uh, the model formulation process. All right. So as it goes, first of all, you need to find the identification of decision variables. The decision variables are what we want to find after solving the model or after using the linear program to solve the model formulation. That's what we are finding or what we are after. So if you want to find a number of quantities of a certain product, then the number of quantities of the product is what you are calling the decision variable. Then we have what we call the objective function. That is the main objective of that particular problem. What do you want to do? Do you want to minimize costs, use main for minimization, or want to maximize what? Profits. That's where the objective function sits. And it's a linear relationship of the decision variables, right? Then we have the determination of system constraints. System constraints are more or less like the limited or scarce resources. Are you okay? Uh-huh. So this is also a linear relationship, as you see here, between the decision variables, and that reflects the limited resources that are already set. So we will not waste time. Let's quickly let's quickly jump into the first example and solve it. So we are solving this example, this example here. Let me change my color. Let me use black. All right. So uh, let's go to the whiteboard. So let's read the question first. Example one: a manufacturing company wishes to determine how many of each of three different products. We have three different products here. They should produce given limited resources to maximize total profit. So the objective function here is to maximize total profit. The labor and material requirements, these ones, and the contribution to profit for each of the three products are as follows. So if you are able to produce product one, you get a profit of $3. If you are able to produce product two, you get $5 as profit. And uh, if you want to, if you develop product three, you get a product of profit of $2. Right now, there is a labor hour constraint and a material constraint here. So you see all this one just within some couple of minutes. So now identification of decision variable, that's the first step. So we are solving this. So identification of decision variables. So what do we say? We say let xi be the number of let xi be the number of um the question saying, so we have to find the number of each product. So let S I be the number of products I to be produced, and I is one, two, three. Since we have three products there, right? So X1 is number of, because I already said Xi. So X1 is number of product one. X2 is number of product two. Then X3 is the number of product what? Three. In that manner. Alright, so this is the decision variable. Then we move on to what? The objective function. The objective function. So the objective function is saying we should maximize what? Yeah, it is. Maximize profits. So we want to maximize profit. So we use max like this. Max. Max Z function. This is the profit. So we maximize profit. But they've given us the various profit that we get from the production of each of the products. So product one, if we produce one quantity of product one, we get $3 as profit. And how many products are we producing for product one? How many quantities are we producing for product one? We're producing X1 quantity. So profit times X1 plus X2, we get $5. So 5 of X2 plus X3, we get $2 for product 3. So this is the objective function. Then we have what we call the system what? The system constraints. This is the objective function and the system constraints. So system constraints, we look out for the constraints. So the constraints, we have typically two headings. We have the labor. The labor, that is the time frame for production of one product quantity. Product one, the quantity of hours that we need. We need 5 hours per product one that we produce. So we would multiply the number of product one that we produced, which is X1. So I have is it resource? What is it? The heading. The heading is resource labor. Alright, so labor. So labor is our first constraint, and we have material too as our second constraint. So labor, we have 5 hours of product one. We need 5 hours to produce product one. We need 2 hours to produce product two. So two of product two. Then we need 4 hours of time to produce three, quantity of three. And what does the constraint say? It says within a day we have this 240. This one, 240. So you cannot go above that. So it means it should be less than or equal to 240 hours for the day. Then materials that is needed for product one, we need 4 kilograms per each product one quantity we produce. So it will be 4 of the quantity of product one we produced plus 6 of product two we produce, 6 of product two plus 3 of product three. And this one should not be greater than daily material requirement of 400 kilograms a day. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the system constraints, and the last one is the omega non. This one, if you forget it, you are gone. Non-negativity constraint. I will call it rule. What does it say? We are producing number of quantities of a product, and it cannot be less than or equal to zero. How? How can you get number of a a certain item to be less than zero, a negative value. It's not good and it's mathematically obscene. It's called mathematical obscenity. It doesn't make sense. So we say xi, that's the quantity of the product, should be greater or equal to zero. And what it means is x1, x2, x3 all are greater than or equal to zero. They cannot be less than or equal to. So in all, we want to sanitize it. So finally, this is what our model structure will look like. The linear program model will look like. We say maximize z, which is 3x1 plus 5x2 plus 2x3. We say subject to. So we subject to these constraints. We subject to labor is 5x1 plus 2x2 plus 4x3 less than or equals to what? 400. Subject it to material constraints. 4x1 plus 6x2 plus 3x3 less than or equals to, oh, sorry. So this one is 400 rather. Sorry. And this one is 240, right? Yes, that's why I love work. To make you fast and sharp. So there is a mistake somewhere. So then lastly, your non-negativity rule, which is x1, x2, x3. These are number of quantities and should be greater than one. So this is the final solution to this. Thank you very much, and I'm hoping to see you in the next video.